This was a year that was very challenged. Our audit was completed entirely remotely. The county had to be very quick to respond, and to walk away with 5 clean reports is an incredible accomplishment.
For the past several years, Jackson County has brought in an independent organization to audit the county's financial performance. And each year, Moss Adams has found the county's financial standing to be very healthy. Despite the major challenges of wildfires and the pandemic, the audit for 2020 remained positive.
So this slide reports the results of our audit services. As a result of all of the procedures that we performed and the nature of services that Leslie went through, we issue 5 reports. So it seems like a lot, I know, but we issue 5 reports that get included within your financial statements. This was a year that was very challenged. Our audit was completed entirely remotely. The county had to be very quick to respond to the pandemic and the fires during the audit, and to walk away with 5 clean reports is an incredible accomplishment. So what a great year given the circumstances that you were in this year. We wanted to touch on also a few of the county statistics. This, as we've done in the past, this is not always an area that gets highlighted or presented at one of these meetings, but we do believe it's important to share at least some of these statistics with you. So as you can see, over the past few years, you've had a pretty nice upward trend in your revenues. In the current year, you'll see just a slight down in total revenues, just a slight downward trend. And as you can see, if you look on that charges for services section, you'll notice that actually charges for services, which mostly include things like your airport, the expo, of course, your parks, and with COVID shutting a lot of that stuff down this year and impacting that, you have almost about a $10 million decrease in charges for services. However, in your total revenue column, you'll see the actual revenue only decreased about $2 million, which means that you were able to make up some of that revenue in other areas such as grants and contributions. This next slide is where you spend those expenditures. In almost every category, expenses have decreased slightly, which you might expect given those last 3 months of your fiscal year. What I want to talk about here is that you will see that in the general government section, as well as your total expenses, that you do see increased expenditures. The county decided to take advantage of the site account with PERS to receive the match. So this is actually an investment in the future of the county and future reduction in PERS expenses. So because this was an expenditure to the county, it's not something that's an investment sitting on your books, but will reduce those future expenditures. And so that is one of the areas that caused an increase in your expenses in the current year.
That 50 million represents we have the ability to pay our liability in full as a county. There are very few, if any, jurisdictions in Oregon that would have the ability to do that. I would venture to say.
So this is your net position. So net position is what is left over if you were to take all of your assets and pay off all of your liabilities. So that first line is that darker bar is the total net position, and you will see that it is increasing over time, which actually shows a healthy trend. You want to see these bars increase over time, which is your net position. And so you've been able to maintain a positive balance in all of these since inception of having to record that PERS liability on your books. So general fund is where you hold those funds that you have the most impact over. And so this first one is on your fund balance. So you can see that it's been growing over time. Your revenue, that first blue line item, has been increasing, except for in the current year, and as well as your expenses, and then your overall net fund balance has maintained a nice, healthy balance. So here is a snapshot of the county-wide debt. And as you can see, you actually have really low debt balances. If you go out and compare to some of your other counties or governments, you're going to see that they actually hold quite a bit of debt. So you're actually managing the county without going out and getting a lot of debt in order to do that. And this last slide is really just kind of a comparison to show the challenge that the county has to work with. This compares your permanent rate to the average rates in the northern counties. You can see that it's a low rate that you've had to work with without really getting additional support of the taxpayers. And you've still been able to build a healthy financial position for the county. We kind of like to show this slide to really show that, the county's having to do a lot with a little bit of property tax money. We had to obviously complete this audit remotely this year, and it was a big lift for your team. And they did a great job. We were still able to complete everything on time, and it went as smoothly as it could be given working an audit of your size during a pandemic.
This is the seventh one that I have heard now. Hard to believe, and nearly every time we come back with clean and unmodified, no reportable findings, everything in compliance. And I don't, again, think people actually appreciate how difficult that is and how uncommon it is to be so consistently within that category or that, those parameters.
When I started with the county in 2004, we did literally have barely any fund balance. We lost 23 million in timber revenues, 15.6 million to the general fund. We had to close libraries. I never wanted to see us to have to go through that again. And our board and our budget committees deserve a lot of credit for holding the line all of these years to manage budgets and not make very few exceptions and to have priorities to get us there. So you thanked all of me and my staff and Moss Adams for their work, and I appreciate that too. But I want to thank our board, past boards, our past budget committees, our current board and budget committee, because really that's where the final decisions are made about all of this. So I want to give you all a pat on the back at the same time you're giving us one. Thank you.